Have you ever just stopped and thought about it? About all the little moments, the big decisions, and the random experiences that somehow came together to create, well, you. Today, we are tackling that huge question, how in the world do we become who we are?
No, really, take a second. Was it your DNA, the way you were raised, the friends you made, or maybe the choices you made yesterday? This isn't just some philosophical thing to ponder. It's actually at the core of how we understand ourselves, and pretty much everyone else.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start by setting the stage for this whole journey. Then we'll dive into 3 totally different ways of looking at it. One that looks inside us, one that's all about how we think, and one that focuses on the world around us. And then we'll pull it all together at the end.
All right, to get our heads around a topic this big, we're going to need a guide. Actually, more like a few different guides.
Here's the best way to think about it. All these big theories are like different maps for understanding the human journey. You know, one map might show you the emotional terrain, the deep valleys and hidden mountains from your past. Another one might be like a roadmap for your thoughts and how you learn. And a third one, that one charts the cultural and social landscapes you grew up in. The thing is, none of them are wrong. They just highlight different and equally important parts of the trip.
So let's unfold our first map. This one takes us deep, deep down into our own minds, into our unconscious drives and our earliest memories. This is the psychoanalytic perspective.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? Well, the main idea here is that a huge chunk of what makes us tick is happening just below the surface, in places we're not even aware of. And stuff that happened to us as little kids, it can leave a massive, lasting footprint on the person we are today. And you can't talk about this without talking about Sigmund Freud. He was kind of the original mapmaker for this inner world. He pictured our personality as this constant battle between 3 parts. You've got the id, which is like a toddler screaming, "I want that cookie now." Then there's the superego, which is like a strict judge saying, "Absolutely not, that's against the rules." And stuck in the middle is the ego, the exhausted adult trying to figure out a realistic compromise. Freud believed that this inner tug-of-war is what shapes so much of who we are. But it gets even more interesting. Thinkers like Erik Erikson came along and basically said, hey, this journey doesn't stop in childhood. He mapped out these key challenges we face across our entire lives. Like as babies, the big one is just learning to trust the world. And then you hit your teenage years and boom, it's that classic who am I struggle. Each stage is a new hurdle that builds right on top of the last one. So why does this map matter today? Because it gave us the words, the actual vocabulary to talk about things like anxiety, our defense mechanisms, and why our upbringing can stick with us for so long. It pretty much laid the foundation for modern therapy.
Okay, let's carefully fold up that map and pull out a brand new one. This next map isn't about our hidden feelings. Nope, it's about something we use every single second. Our brain. Welcome to the cognitive map.
The folks behind cognitive theory were obsessed with how we think. They saw people as these active, thinking beings who are constantly trying to make sense of the world. They wanted to know, how does a kid's brain work differently than an adult's? And how do we get from point A to point B? Jean Piaget was a giant in this field. He showed that kids aren't just tiny adults with less information. They actually think in completely different ways. He laid out this incredible progression. You start as a baby in the sensory motor stage, learning about the world by literally tasting and touching everything. Then you move into the pre-operational stage, where language and symbols kick in. After that, you get to the concrete stage, where logic starts to take hold. And finally, as a teenager, you hit the formal stage, where you can think about big, abstract ideas like justice or fairness. It's like building knowledge, one block at a time. But then, Lev Vygotsky came along with a slightly different take. He said, hold on, learning isn't a solo mission, it's a team sport. He believed we learn best in what he called the zone of proximal development. That's the sweet spot right between what you can do by yourself and what you could do with a little help. And that help, he called it scaffolding, like a teacher or parent giving you just enough support to get to the next level. And this, right here, is the perfect way to see the difference. For Piaget, a kid is like a little scientist in a lab, running experiments to figure out the world. But for Vygotsky, a kid is more like an apprentice, learning their skills by working with a master. And honestly, we need both ways of looking at it. The impact of this cognitive map, it's huge. It's the reason schools try to match teaching to a child's developmental stage. It's why we have hands-on science experiments and group projects. It completely shifted education from just stuffing kids with facts to understanding how their minds actually work. All right, one last map to go.
This time, we're looking outward. We're charting the powerful forces all around us, our family, our friends, our culture, that shape who we are. This perspective doesn't really care what you're thinking or feeling inside. It cares about what you do, your observable actions. The big idea here is that our behaviors are basically learned. We are, to a huge extent, a product of our environment. So on this map, there are two main highways for learning. First, you've got B.F. Skinner and his idea of operant conditioning. It's all about consequences. If you get a reward for a behavior, you'll do it more. If you get punished, you'll do it less. Simple. But then Albert Bandura came along and said we also learn indirectly, just by watching people. We see someone else, a role model, get praise for doing something, and we think, hey, I should try that too. This quote from Skinner just nails the whole idea of behaviorism. It's such a simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful when you think about it. Every habit you've ever built or broken, chances are there was a system of rewards and consequences at play, whether you realized it or not. This map is so incredibly practical. It's the foundation for so many things, from parenting techniques to how teachers manage a classroom. It's a constant reminder that the world we build around ourselves and others directly shapes behavior in ways we can actually see and measure. So, we've just looked at three totally different maps. One that explores our inner unconscious world, one that charts how our minds grow, and one that focuses on our environment. So, which one is the right one?
Well, that's the trick question. The real takeaway here isn't about picking a favorite map. The real breakthrough is realizing you need all of them. To really, truly understand a person, to understand yourself, you have to lay these maps on top of each other. You have to see how our inner drives, our way of thinking, and our social world are all constantly talking to each other, influencing each other, and shaping each other.
At the end of the day, you're a mix of all these things. Your hidden motivations, the way you process information, the rewards you've gotten in life, and the people you've copied along the way, they're all part of the recipe. All of those pieces come together to create the complex, unique, and amazing person that is you. So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. When you look back at your own life, at the twists and turns and the moments that really made you, which map feels like it tells your story best? Was it the story of your inner world, your intellectual growth, or the environment that made you? The answer to that? Well, that's just one more part of your journey.